And welcome back to the Boundary Corner Podcast, a part of the College Huddle Network, along with my partners Brian Siegel and Jonathan Talley. I am Curtis Wilson, and we are brought to you by Dr. Jeremy Counts down at the Counts Family Pharmacy, your friendly neighborhood pharmacy located at 301 South Main Street in Blacksburg. We are also brought to you by Moments on the Maury, looking for a weekend getaway, but still want to try to make it to Blacksburg for the game. Moments on the Moor is exactly what you are looking for, owned by a proud Hokie and located just outside Lexington, Virginia, with a little over hour drive to the Berg. It gives you fishing, kayaking, canoeing, or just relaxing by the river with a nice fire pit right outside your back door. Check out our link in the comment section or on Instagram at momentsonthemaury.com. Fellas, what's going on?
Victory podcast.
A real victory podcast.
What is this, man? No one saw this one coming. No one saw this one coming.
No one saw this one coming. Everybody was sideways last week. Everybody's down in the dumps, but that's why you play the game, right? That's
gotta play it, man.
That's why you play the game.
That's why we play the game. Yes, I will be turning around over the next few minutes, even when our guest is here. Cameron, appreciate you coming on, but I know you're a baseball fan, so you understand what's going on behind me when you come in here in a second. These two guys do as well. He gave up bases loaded and he struck them out. Okay, whatever. I'm going to try my best for at least the first few minutes here tonight. But
we've got 60% of Curtis focus right now.
It's like
the other 40 is on the TV behind him.
And you know, there we go. But anyway, like y'all said, we're going to talk about Saturday night in a little while because it was great. It was unexpected. That video, by the way, if y'all have not seen the video Jordan Long did, go find that immediately.
Let's just go ahead and talk about how Jordan Long has been crushing the media this offseason. I mean,
that was a movie.
I mean, the whole offseason, whole season. I mean, he is him. He is doing a lot of good content and really selling. I think what what's happening behind the scenes there, man.
Yeah, it was an hour long, and I take every minute of it. You know, it was a long video that I enjoyed every second of. But yeah. I will say, not to throw too much shade, I've never seen the coaching staff as inspired. Definitely didn't see the head coach as pumped up as I seen Monty. So
yeah,
that was pretty cool.
We saw a different level of gas for that one, and I'm hoping that it sticks around as we move into further into conference play here with Wake Forest coming up.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, speaking of Wake Forest, we are going to start off tonight with Know the Enemy. And we are bringing on tonight, he is a writer for 247. He also hosts the 247 Inside the Forest podcast, focusing on Wake Forest football. So let's bring him on, Cam Lemons Debro. Cameron, what is happening tonight?
I'm not as busy as you right now. The Braves can't hurt me right now, but we got you out. Anything against the Yankees, I'm pretty good with. So I think we're on the same page here.
There we go.
Sweet.
I agree.
It's got to be one of those NL East power or AL East powers, at least Boston over the Yankees for sure.
Yeah, it's a lesser of two evils for me.
Yeah.
Well, listen, for every Braves fan, right, it's 96 hurt, and you ain't forgave them yet.
I was 1 year old. So.
Ryan and Tally won't a year old.
We were in the prime of our youth.
Yeah. Riding bikes like on Stranger Things.
That's right. 10 and 11 we were, man.
Babies is what we were back then. But Cameron, we appreciate you taking the time tonight to join us, talk a little bit about Wake Forest. Before we get into a little bit of everything, give us a little bit about yourself, how you got to the Wake Forest piece here, and, how long have you been doing this?
Yeah. So, I mean, grew up in Atlanta, funny enough, for last week with Wake. I grew up a Georgia Tech fan, right outside of Decatur. But actually ended up getting into Wake for undergrad, went there Dave Clawson's first year in 2014, graduated in 2018. So I think around my junior year when I started working with SB Nation, with their site, doing some recruiting stuff and film stuff. And then kind of as things went along, COVID was a big, kind of driver of people's lives doing different ways. It was around 2020 is when, I started having a little more time to put more stuff into film. And then 24/7 kind of approached me. Like, hey, you're doing a good job. Do you want to come over here, do some stuff there? So really, I'd really say since 2020 has been when I first started, really diving into Wake Forest beat.
Nice. Now, are you still living in the Winston-Salem area? Or have you moved back down to Atlanta?
So I was actually covering them remotely in DC. I was up right outside of 14th Street for a bit, and then now I'm down in Charlotte. So I'll make the commute up from Charlotte for football, basketball, whatever I need to do.
Awesome.
Nice, man. Nice.
So you got this thing going like pretty steady for you about the same time we got going. So this podcast opened up 2020. Okay, Curtis is happy. We started this show about 2020. So yeah,
awesome.
COVID kind of we got going just before COVID hit and been riding that wave ever since, man.
Hey, welcome.
It's awesome to see. I think over the last couple years, especially Tally, Brian, and I can say it's awesome to see other fan bases, fans passionate about what they do, talking their team. And it's really good because, we dive into, I dive into the stats. Shelton, who's not here tonight, dives into the analytics. Tally and Brian both played, so they can look at tape and see who they like and who they don't like.
Right.
So it's really nice to have all this and just it's becoming more of a community because, we can have conversations. Do we want to beat the pants off y'all Saturday? Yeah. Do you want to beat the pants off us Saturday? Absolutely.
I'd enjoy a win. I'd enjoy an ACC win.
There you go.
Yeah.
But, it's awesome to see this, and we appreciate you taking the time tonight to jump on with us. So now saying that, you guys made a pretty big hire this year with Dave Clawson stepping down. Obviously someone you were super familiar with. Right. And you guys go way out to Pullman, Washington, just out Spokane, where I've got some friends, and you guys hired Jake Dickert. First of all, how did everything come down, and how are you feeling so far about that hire?
Yeah, I mean, that first Pete Thamel tweet of Dave Clawson stepping down, I remember I was doing stuff for my desk job, and I just happened to open my phone, and I see it for 5 seconds ago, and I was like, what do you mean he's stepping down? We're coming off of a season where, back-to-back 4-8 seasons for Dave Clawson. Things that felt stale. It really felt like a really pivotal off season for him. Was he going to change up things for the staff? He had just got done, hosting about, I think, 15, 16 transfer portal visitors in his house the day before. So we're all underneath the impression Dave's coming back for next year. Fine. That happens. And, it's peak portal season, and you're like, well, you don't have time to go on a full-fledged search. And so things kind of snowballed really quickly. I kind of picked up myself that from some people that I heard that Dickert was going to be the top 2, top 3 options. And it struck me a little bit interesting because I've watched a bit of the Pac-2 as it was last year, and I had really had some fun watching John Mateer. I really like what they were doing at wide receiver with Kyle Williams. I thought their corners were really good. I thought there was some good stuff. They fizzled at the end of the year, but I thought there was good stuff happening there. But obviously money is a big driver in what you can do, both NIL wise, institutional wise. I know with the big board of trustees meeting Virginia Tech had today, trust me, money is important at all levels of everything. And so I was like, okay, I can see it. But then you have the questions of he's never coached past, Wisconsin is about as far east as he's ever coached. And so, coaching, recruiting in the South, what kind of staff would he bring in? So when they finally announced it, I was like, okay, I understand it, but I think there's some questions here. But from the first day you talked to him at his introductory press conference, and then you got to spring camp, the buzzword was energy. And it was just different. It was a different type of energy that you could see. Dave Clawson wasn't exactly, done with college sports at the time, but you could tell how he was frustrated. He was a big developmental guy. And when you have players like Sam Hartman kind of, using his last year of eligibility to go to Notre Dame, you have guys like Jamal Banks leave and up and go to Nebraska. You have guys just that are leaving your program that you've built up, and you have to pick and choose who you can keep because everyone's getting poached left and right. It really kind of took a toll on him. But I think what you saw with Jake Dickert was a guy who's been brought up in the NIL era. He's a young coach. He understands, what it's like to be a CEO type of head coach. And so I thought at first people really enjoyed the enthusiasm. Then the first couple of games of the season happened and you were like, whoa, what's going on here? You have a 10-9 nail-biting win over Kennesaw State. Again, Atlanta native. Not sure if Kennesaw State's in the same waters of where you want to be having a slugfest with. You come back the next week and have a rain-delayed, pretty much just butt-whooping of Western Carolina. It's great. And then you have a Thursday night. Everyone's pumped up for ESPN game against NC State. You come out in the first half. You return the opening kick for a touchdown. Your next drive is a long touchdown drive, I should say. You're feeling great. And then in the second half, you don't get a first down other than a targeting penalty. That's the only first down you got in the second half.
Ooh.
Things start to sour, and then you have a team like Georgia Tech coming in last week where they want to drag you into a bar fight. They want to just be tougher than you every single down. And while, some shenanigans happened towards the end of that game, I think, moral victories are dumb. They're super dumb. But Wake proved down to down, they were very willing to be that toughness. They had that identity of we don't care how tough you are, we're going to be just as tough of you, if not tougher. And I think that started getting people a little bit back to, okay, remember this is year one. I understand what they're trying to build too. So it's been a little bit of a roller coaster, but I think last week, even with the loss, started saying, okay, this is the idea of what we want.
Before we jump into talking about the offense a little bit, I want to circle back to Georgia Tech and last week and the controversy towards the end of that one with the offside. I'm going to kind of just give you the floor here and let you vent a little bit and talk that through and kind of what the perspective is from both the Wake Forest fan and kind of the fan base in general.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough because I think where my seat was, I'm pretty much on that line where the play happened. And so when he jumped offside, you could just see everyone in the press box going, okay, this game's just over. The game, everyone was like, okay, cool. We're all starting to write and figure and be like, this is done. And then you don't see a flag go up. You're just kind of confused. And I personally they didn't show it on the broadcast. I've never seen Jake Dickert in the 4 games that animated of what's going on here. Robbie Ashford was the same way. Come to find out on Monday, not only do they have to admit that they messed up the lack of an offsides call, there was a PI on the play too of the receiver that was being thrown at, and they were just like, and when you go back and watch it, you start seeing, hey, why is that corner playing like the only thing he needs to do is just not give up a touchdown? Like why is he all of a sudden just grabbing and basically almost throwing him to the ground?
Yep.
It's tough. It's really tough
because y'all got screwed.
Yeah, I mean,
y'all got screwed.
He was playing that way because he knew his guy jumped off sides. What do you do when your guy jumps off sides? Make sure you do anything but give up a touchdown because that's the only thing that matters there.
Well, Cameron, don't feel bad because week 4 or 5 last year, we were in the same. The ACC made a business decision on Saturday with y'all.
It was tough.
They did against Miami last year with us. It was just like
that Miami game was really, really hard to watch because I'm sitting there. I'm sitting there with actually a couple of my Virginia Tech friends that are down here in Charlotte, and I was just kind of sat there with them and was like, I'm not going to say anything if you don't, right? We're good.
Anger, a lot of anger that night.
Man,
it's tough. But it's tough, and then sometimes you want to, you don't want to be the guy that's always complaining about the refs. And I do think there was some stuff on the field that Wake frankly left on the field, and so there's some parts of me that go, you shouldn't have gotten to that point. And then there's also some times where I go, well, I do agree because Jake Dickert talked about it on Monday, where he thought that one of the big changes for college football is for penalties like that. That's not a judgment call. You're offsides, you're not. You're in the neutral zone, you're not. You false start or not. Give them a challenge flag for stuff like that. I think that's a pretty easy way to go. Look, I can do this, throw a challenge flag. This review takes 20 seconds. It's not a judgment call. Good. I think that's something, especially because this is the second week in a row we've seen kind of a pretty obvious offsides not be called and it lead to a game-changing play. Yeah. So I think something like that could easily be done versus, putting out a statement through someone else and then going, all right, we're good.
Oops, we're sorry, guys.
I mean, it doesn't matter now. Like,
No.
Apologizing for it after the fact doesn't really change the outcome.
No, it doesn't.
I hate when they do that. I hate whenever they know they mess up and then they'll come and say, well, we messed up. No shit, you messed up. You screwed up a whole game. Auburn got done similar to, they had some stuff happen against Oklahoma last week. And I'm like, why even come out with a statement? It don't matter. Are you going to pay them? Are you going to give them the win?
You reverse everything?
For a team like Wake, that's one of the big goals of the year is making a bowl game. You look at the schedule and you're like, you know what, getting the 6 still the thing. If Wake ends up this season at 5-7, you look at that game a lot and you're a little more upset afterwards.
Oh yeah, and I mean, we saw it last year with Miami. It's like, I mean, and we admitted, and you talked about it earlier, like there were plenty of opportunities where we could have won that game without it coming down to that situation. Right. But at the same time, I mean, especially in your case, I mean, it was,
right there,
very easy. There was no there was no question about what that call should have been. So, kind of feel bad for y'all. Obviously, I mean, I think that's one that, hopefully you don't end up looking at the end of the year like you said and sitting at 5-7. You're like, oh man, we could have been bowl eligible with that one.
That'll be a great final press conference with Jake Dicker of the season if that happens.
Oh man,
yeah.
Right. Well, man, we're gonna switch gears a little bit and just talk a little bit about your OC. Before I let you get the floor, I will say I know a little bit about Mr. Ezell. Curtis or Brian, do y'all know what his claim to fame is?
Other than
Rob Ezell's
stint at South Alabama.
I mean, he was in South Alabama.
So he went
a little further back.
He went to Alabama. He walked on at Alabama, played on the national championship team. And if you go to YouTube right now and you Google or you go to YouTube and you put his name in, that's going to pull up a whole bunch of videos of him impersonating Nick Saban. So that is his claim to fame. He was in the locker room. Yeah, he was in the locker room. I mean, it was everywhere. He was in the locker room. I'm talking about imitating Nick. They talked to Nick about it a lot during that time. I think it was 2009 when it happened. But really cool video. Just kids having fun at that time. Like you said, he did go to South Alabama. He got the quarterback paid pretty good to go to UNC. So I know a little bit about him, like I said, because he's been around these areas. But I will throw it over to Cameron and let him tell us a little bit about his OC and what he likes or doesn't like or what he's been seeing as of lately.
Yeah, I mean, with Rob, there's some growing pains you have to obviously expect. He was a first-time play caller last year at South Alabama. Had some really fun offense. Gio was really good. He doesn't look great this year, but Gio looked really good last year. Fluff Bothwell, who I think is now at Mississippi State, was a really good running back. They had a kind of two-headed guy there. He's had a fun offense last year, and I think he started bringing that over here to Wake Forest. I think part of the ups and downs have been partially, he'll admit there's some times he hasn't put people in the right places, but with what he calls a power spread, which I kind of liken to a triple option just in the modern version, there are a lot of moving pieces. You've got a quarterback like Robbie Ashford who, you can move him around the pocket. You can put him in a true, real, just a read option and true in a speed option. You've got a guy like Damon Claiborne, who one of the best running backs in the ACC. You can move him around there. Guys like Chris Barnes, Micah Mays. There's a lot of moving parts there. They brought in some offensive linemen that I think that's made some interesting adjustments in terms of just cohesiveness. But with Rob himself, I think the good has been explosives. I think there were some graphs I kind of retweeted the other day that Wake explosive wise is on the same level as Ohio State this year. They've been a very, very, very explosive team. The problem, and part of it again has been play calling. Some of it has just been execution as well. Has been they are operating on the same success rate as Iowa and Kentucky. So that's so it's like when you're hitting some deep balls or hitting some really big runs, that's great, but down the down hasn't really been that great. And I think sometimes it is okay, look, it's 1st and 10. Let's just get into the flow of the offense. I think sometimes they get away from a Demond or Ty Clark or even a QB run from time to time. And then sometimes it's, you look around and you see a left guard kind of on his ass. You see a center getting pushed back a couple yards and you're like, okay, so it's there's a lot of moving pieces in terms of what could be better. And I think we've seen some really high highs, and especially in the last 2 weeks of guys just, I think Robbie, the first half of NC State and most of the game last week looked pretty good throwing the ball and running the ball. I think there's definitely some times where it's just little things, like especially the red zone. I think, we'll probably talk about it later. I think that's probably where this game is going to be won in the red zone. Wake's 133rd in red zone offense when it comes to scoring touchdowns. There are, I believe, 3 teams worse than them. They are combined 2-10. So, you're maybe a little bit fortunate to be 2-2, but you're doing everything right to get there. It's just finishing there. I think that might, if they can flip that switch with him, I think that might be what unlocks that offense.
Yeah,
gentlemen, does that sound familiar?
Well, yeah, that was one of the things I pulled out doing my research this week. That low 69% conversion. The one thing I'll tell you about is, guess who's 134 in red zone defense? That's us. If you get down there, we let teams score. But I want to talk about one of the guys you already mentioned, because he was a guy Virginia Tech almost landed. That's Demond Claiborne, and he is having another good season. Y'all did not lose him. He's actually from a little town called King William, where me and Brian's friend Derek grew up, just west of here. Literally, they won.
I'm a 15-minute drive from
He's a 15-minute drive from it, and it is a small country school. But why did he stay? Because if you look at his numbers over the 3 years at Wake, he's put up good numbers.
Yep.
1,000-yard rusher last year. How did y'all hold on to him for this last ride down at Wake?
I think first and foremost, the degree. Damon's recruitment was one that I was really kind of involved in. His mother wanted him to get a Wake Forest degree. I think they really wanted him to get just a degree from a top. Not saying that Virginia Tech's not a good one, but I think it's when you had options like Wake, Virginia Tech, when you ended up at Wake, you're already there. Why not finish what you started? And I think that's something we've heard from Demond Claiborne before is I'm going to finish what I started here. I think when also, he said he was coming back before Dave Clawson stepped down. I do think having a new style of offense with Jake Dickert and Robbie Zell has also helped him sell him a little bit more, not just saying, we're going to give you the ball 40 times a game, hope you stay. But I think just in terms of, there have been some back and forth between, does the slow mesh RIP, help hurt running backs in terms of their decision making when you're a guy like Demond who has really good patience, really good balance, really good feet. It really shines in that slow mesh. But also now, instead of you running just inside zone or just outside zone, now you're running counter. Now you're running power. Now you're really getting to these run concepts that you're probably going to be running at the next level. Then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I think this might be, I can go do this in Oregon. I can go do this in Michigan. I can go do this anywhere else. I'm already comfortable here. They've put me in a great position to succeed. Why not stay here for my final year, get my degree, do the best I can, and then go from there.
Absolutely. And so far this year, he's touched the ball 58 times. And I'm doing the mathematics here for basically right about 7.3 per touch, which means when he gets it, he is getting upfield. Now, Brian, I know you wanted to hit on something here before we.
Yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about the offensive line. I know you said there's been a little bit of inconsistency there. You talked about some guys on their ass earlier, but give us a picture of what that offensive line has looked like. I know, like historically, what has kept Wake pretty competitive is that you guys have done pretty well in the trenches on both sides of the ball. So I'm interested to see what that offensive line is looking like and how you feel about that. Sounds like Claiborne's definitely getting his yards per carry there, so it's got to be something going pretty well for them.
Oh yeah, you start with that left tackle Melvin Ciani, who they brought up from, I believe, Temple, was played for a year there, was a right tackle, moved over to left tackle this year, and had performed so well in fall camp that, if the Athletic reported it, they actually renegotiated his deal because they were like, look, we don't want to go to the portal after this year to get another left tackle. Let's just go ahead, lock you up. And he's pretty much been worth that, in terms of being a good left tackle. Center has been Devin Kalani, one of the captains. He's been up and down. That's someone that I think they expect a little more of, in terms of last week was a really tough matchup for him. And he battled. There were times that, he pushed a really good defensive tackle back, and sometimes he got pushed 2 yards back. But I think it's, expecting a little more out of him is okay. Right guard, George Sell, guy that's been with the program since Dave Clawson was there. He was the only holdover starter on the line. He's been good because you haven't really noticed him. I know the offensive line is a very, very one you either see pancakes or you see, someone on their ass. With him, It's been, you know what? I don't notice you a lot, and that's a really good thing because you're just sitting there, you're doing your job, and that's kind of how George Sell has been. He's put his head down. He's been a really hard worker at right guard. Right tackle was their big money addition, quote unquote money, in terms of Lili Famo. They beat out. He came over from Washington State. They beat out Nebraska, LSU for him as well. They wanted him as a left tackle or right tackle as well. And I think Lili has played.
He's very good.
The first game he did not have a good game, but since then Lili has been a very, very, very good tackle, and I think someone that you could probably hear his name being called on day 3 of the NFL draft next year if he keeps this up. It's been really good. Left guard's been the spot that people have not so much worried about, but it's just the most fluid one. So he started out the year, the year with Clinton Richard, who was a second-year guy out of Atlanta, Fairburn Heights, I believe. Really good guy. Big, strong. Had some solid P4 offers, and then had an injury. I think he broke his leg. Essentially, broke his ankle on the last drive of the first game of the season, and it was tough because they'd already lost 2 guys that were kind of fighting for that position too. They had both medically retired. So you're now down to a third option there. He's out for the season. You bring in a guy like George Stee, who has, he's shifting over from tackle, and you can see some really good things and some really not good things out of a guy that frankly was kind of your 4th option there. You've seen some really good of when they pull him, he pulls really well. He moves really well for a guard. But then sometimes it's technique. It's not easy going from being a tackle to being a guard. It's just a different type of technique. Yeah. And you can see it a little bit when some people kind of power rush him a bit of, nope, I can't just go after him. I got to make sure I'm actually using the correct technique. So I think that's a little tough because I think Wake went into the season thinking they'd have 8 to 9 guys that, they could rotate in, and that whittled down to about 5 or 6 within about 3 weeks. So it's been good. I think there are times, and I think that's part of the red zone worry as well, is, there's a play I pulled yesterday from Saturday that was, if one guy doesn't get pushed back by 2 yards, the tight end can come across, get his block, Demon's in for a touchdown. It's just little things like that in specific areas that I think if they fix that, I think that makes it go a little more.
And the man behind the line, and in the backfield with Claiborne is Robbie Ashford, Alabama legend. He went to Hoover High School here. Everybody probably knows of Hoover High School if you know anything about Alabama right. High School. But he's a legend because he has been to 95 schools. Robbie Ashford graduated 4-star, went to Oregon, played baseball. Well, he actually committed to Ole Miss, ended up at Oregon, played baseball at Oregon. Then he decided just to focus on football, transferred to Auburn. A lot of people at Auburn liked him and what he did, but again, he can move, man. He'll get out of the pocket. And, sometimes down here, it's like they want Greg McElroy. They want somebody to sit back and throw the ball. So left Auburn, went to South Carolina. Am I correct there?
Correct.
South Carolina. Yeah. South Carolina to Wake. So he's kind of been, all over the place, but a talented kid, man. I mean, you could see last week he got hurt. Before he got hurt, you could see what was happening, and then he gets hurt, and he's still gutting through it with that big-ass brace on. But, I think Robbie is a person to watch. I don't know how banged up he and Claiborne will be, but they've got a good backfield between those 2 guys. So I'll just let you talk. I'll let you talk a little bit about Robbie as well.
Yeah, I mean, Robbie, Robbie, as you mentioned, he's a journeyman. There's only so much you can, and I don't mean this derogatory wise, but there's only so much you really expect out of a journeyman quarterback. At a certain point, you kind of are who you are in that journey. And I think, during spring and fall camp, they tried to put him in a little bit of a box he wasn't meant to be in. It was
Right.
we're going to try and make you a pocket passer here and there. And that's just not his strength. And we saw kind of, the first half of NC State and in this game against Georgia Tech, where if you get him on the move, this guy he's going to be one of, if not the best athlete on the field. And it was actually kind of funny you brought up the baseball stuff. The play he gets hurt on, he actually fields a bad snap like a third baseman. He fields it just directly like a third baseman and just takes off for about 30, 40 yards down the field before he ended up getting hurt. And so you see the athleticism jumping at you. I think some of the negative has been kind of the short to intermediate game. I think, screen passes haven't really been kind to him. Sometimes decision making when they've tried to put him in some RPO stuff hasn't been the best. And I think on Saturday they did a good job of taking that toy away from him. But that's where you see the growth and where he's been good at kind of his entire career. He's one of the best passers for PFF in terms of the deep ball. If you have him airing it out, this guy, I think I wrote it down the other day, was 22nd best in terms of PFF grade. He's got 6 big time throws, doesn't have a turnover worthy play when he throws it downfield. For whatever reason, if you ask him to have a little stop and go route, he's going to put that on the money. And I think that's something that I think Wake's really liked, because it's when you're someone that wants to run the ball as much as with Damon Claiborne or with Robbie Ashford, you got to do something to get people to back off of you. Yeah. And I think they've done I've been charting it kind of all season they've done a really good job of, and especially with Robbie, they've done a really good job of when teams try to stack 7-8 in the box, just saying, okay, if you keep doing that, I'm just going to hit you over the top. And we're going to keep doing this until you stop it. And so I think that's been one of the best things about Robbie is he has been able to punish, teams when they've tried to take away what people think Wake wants to do this year.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned about the struggle with the intermediate routes and everything, and it's reflective there. 59% completions. It's also reflective in when you look at your leading receivers. Devin Claiborne's the second leading receiver on the team receptions wise. So I'm going to turn this over to you. Give me one of your receivers that you feel if they have a good game Saturday, you feel better about your chances to win.
It's tough because the easy answer is Chris Barnes, little scatterbug that's 5'8", 5'9" on a good day. I'm going to go Micah Mays, though. I think Micah is someone that he's about 6'2", 6'3"-ish, 190 pounds. And we've really started seeing some big plays out of him the last few weeks of just, with Chris, he's, like I said, he's 5'8", 5'9". You can't catch him. The dude ran like a 10-1-9, 100-meter dash. He's just fast. With Micah, he was a long jumper in high school. So he's got the explosiveness, not so much the speed. And I think being able sometimes when you don't get someone necessarily schemed open, and I think Virginia Tech's going to do a good job of not necessarily just busting coverages, having a guy that can just go up and get a jump ball. And I think Micah does a really, really good job. He has some really good hands on him. He's taken some hits over the middle. They love running some little mesh rail with him, and he's always finding that little soft part of the zone. But I think Micah, if you really can get him going, and I don't think, getting him going is 10 catches. That's just not how Wake's going to operate. But if you can get him going, 4 or 5 catches and get to that 70, 80 yard mark, I think Wake feels like they're in a pretty good place right there.
All right, so we'll make that note, Micah Mays. And before Brian jumps on the defense, just one last question. What's going to be the status of Robbie Asher? We know he's banged up, but Thursday, again, it's the ACC now. We're going to get to see the injury report. What do you think he's listed as Thursday?
We're going to see both him and Damon Claiborne listed as the questionable. I don't care. Robbie told us in the post-game press conference on Friday, as long as I'm not on Saturday, as long as I'm not dead, I'm going to go out there and play on Saturday. So, I have a lot more of an expectation of Robbie playing, more or less just because we've talked to him. With Demond, I think it'll be a full, he'll be Q, and then they're not going to tip their hand until they absolutely have to.
Right.
Sounds good, man.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we'll see what ours looks like, because we're in a situation where we're still waiting to see, are the guys that were out last week guys that are gonna hit the portal?
Are they in the portal? Or are they here?
The guys that are gonna actually, so we're still playing
done?
that wait and see on our side as well. So let's flip it over to defense. We got Scotty Hazelton, defensive coordinator. he's been coaching a good while. He's got a fun beard to look at too. I got to respect the beard game there. But he's had several P4 stops before getting to Wake Forest. Tell us a little bit about his defense and what he brings to the table.
Yeah, I think Scotty Hazelton has done a really good job of reinventing himself. I think at Michigan State, when he was at Kansas State, I think he was a really good defensive coordinator. I think the stop at Michigan State, whatever was happening with him and Mel Tucker and that entire program just was not working. Just wasn't working because it was just yards after breakdown after breakdown after touchdown. And, granted, again, Wake hasn't seen the best offense in the world with this team just yet. But one thing they've been excellent at doing is just preventing explosives. This team just does not give up explosive plays through the ground, through the air. You're not going to – it'll be once in a blue moon before you hit a 40, 50-yard play on them. It just doesn't happen. And so I think Scotty's done a really good job of reinventing himself. He was a guy that ran a lot of Tampa 2, which, Tampa 2 can be cover 3. There's a whole other stuff about that. But he ran a lot of cover 2. This year, he has been – I love that there's a lot of King William kids going to see Blacksburg today on this weekend. This year, it's been a lot of cover 1. He's run some cover 1. It's gone to cover 3 from time to time. But Wake's been a really heavy cover 1 team this year, which I think is pretty interesting. That's not something I don't think Wake would really ever dare to run. I don't think people ever think Wake has the personnel to run a true cover 3 at times, press man sort of thing. But he's really trusted his receivers. His cornerbacks, and they've rewarded him more than often. He's trusted his run defense. And, I think it's a thing of it's still kind of on an edge because I think Wake's done a really good job of limiting damage. They're one of the best teams at not giving up touchdowns in the red zone. They're one of the best teams on not giving explosives, and they're pretty good on third downs. The problem is they'll be out there for a little bit. And part of it's the offense, part of it's their own doing on defense for missing tackles of, sometimes it's a critical third and like 3 or 4, and they're giving it up. And that's why it's a little interesting when you look at Wake's yards per game. They're probably middle of the pack. When you look at their EPA, they're down towards the bottom of the country. They're giving up yards and they're fine, but it's sometimes they break at the wrong time. That's what's kind of kept them from being that next echelon of good defense.
Yeah, and something we hit on beforehand, and you immediately just shook your head as soon as I said it. Teams running the ball, I think right at 54% of the time against Wake, 140, which isn't bad, but I think what you're saying in this case is the numbers don't look bad, but it's the crucial situations. Yeah. It's like you said, 3rd and 2, we're missing a tackle, and it's like you want to bang your head against the wall when that happens, and we do the same on this side. But let's talk about 3 guys. Well, I want to talk about 3 guys. These 2 may have somebody else I want to talk about, but I want to talk about 3 guys that had really good games last week that kind of showed out. And the first is Quincy Bryant. Give a little background on him, but maybe so much. Why did he have such a good game against Georgia Tech?
Yeah, I think with Quincy, he's been someone that's been with Wake. He's another person that has been. He's grown up with the Wake Forest program, coming from Parkview High School outside of Atlanta. Really smart, intelligent kid, and he's someone that he hasn't fallen out of being a starter, but they've been trying to run kind of a 2x2 side kind of thing. There's Aiden Hall and Dylan Hayes in their set. Him and Frank Cusano are set, and Frank Cusano kind of missed the game. We'll see if he'll play this week. And the thing with Quincy I've noticed is when Quincy's been expected to play about 75, 80 snaps a game, it just hasn't been great, which I don't think for anyone it's great. But when you've kept him around that 30 to 40 sort of reps, he's been really good. He's fresh. He's a really good tackler. Like I said, he's a smart kid, so he's very aware of what's going on. I think he was a corner. He played a lot when he was at Parkview. He played corner, he played safety, then he kind of transitioned down to linebacker. So he's got kind of skills to be all over the place. And I think just with the game against a hometown team in Georgia Tech probably fired him up a little bit. But just a team that he doesn't really have to be worrying about, am I going to drop back this game? Am I going to go forward? I don't have to really guess and check. I need to go forward and go find wherever Haynes King is. I think that's a style of game and I think, that's someone we're going to look forward to when you're talking about a big dude in Kyron Drones, where, look, just go and get him. I think that's somewhere where Quincy Bryant really likes to shine.
Yeah, and Quincy last week, just so everybody knows why I focused on him. 11 combined tackles, had a TFL in there as well, was literally, and we know the way Georgia Tech likes to play. You get 11 tackles, that is, you are in on a lot of plays with the way Georgia Tech runs defense.
And
so
that
not even telling
that TFL was on a 4th and 1 too. Haynes King went on a QB power, and Quincy just shot through a gap and just got there.
There we go.
Nice. Tally, Brian, who you want to talk about next?
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about Karan Pruitt, defensive back. He had another big game against Georgia Tech. What sort of skill set does he bring to the table for Wake Forest?
Karan, so Prunty is a guy that it's very funny that he ended up at Wake Forest. So Wake actually played North Carolina A&T last year, and I believe their opener. And Dave Clawson's going through, making them look like every coach does, making their team seem like the '85 Dolphins. It's great. And he gets the Prunty. And he goes, yeah, no, that dude's got to get a better draft grade than any of our cornerbacks, and just is very stone faced. And we were like, oh no, he's not fluffing this guy up. He that dude's good. And so when the portal hits, I'm like, okay, let's see what's going on with this guy. He ends up at Wake, and you're like, how are you at North Carolina A&T? He was a freshman All-American when he was at Kansas. Just kind of dropped down to A&T for a bit, but he's a legitimate 6'1", 6'2", 190. Like, he is a big corner. He's strong. He's not afraid of getting someone's face. And I think that's something you see when he's going back and forth with other wide receivers is, I think a lot of times people have it's hard to find a 6'1", 6'2" corner. Like, when you're that big, it's hard to move. It's hard to be as flexible. It's hard to have the right stride. I think Karan does a good job of putting all those things together, and that allows him to work against these wide receivers that are 6'2", 6'3", and can run. I think that was a really good thing, from last game and the game before, where he's just not going to be afraid of anyone. He doesn't really care. Every time you ask him about, why did he want to come back to the P4 level, and he's like, this is where I feel like I belong. And he feels like he needs to show that every single week.
Yeah, and I mean, around this part, like, a lot of people were kind of upset that when the recruiting was going on for Prunty, that he was somebody that we missed on or didn't really pursue with the vigor I think a lot of people wanted to. So seeing him kind of circle back around there is really interesting.
And he's from Portsmouth.
He
went to Norcom. So, yeah. But you mentioned him about being out of Kansas. I mean, he did it last week against GT, 3 pass deflections.
Yeah.
Back in 2020, and I know that was an awkward season, 3rd in the Big 12 in pass deflections. That just says to me, when you see a guy have a lot of pass deflection, they are understanding the route concepts. They understand when they need to get their hands in there. And I'm sure there's some PIs and stuff, but overall that. Tally, let me pitch to you real quick. Who you got?
Yep. So defensive line. I'm gonna throw it to Cameron. Who do we need to look at? Who we need to worry about? I think I know who you're gonna say. His first name probably Gabe. But who on your defensive line do I need to worry about?
Yeah, I mean, so actually, the first one I was gonna bring up will be his running mate, Langston Hardy, kind of the other defensive end. When you kind of look through snap counts, Gabe has been a really good player at his end, but he gets club on his hand. I'm pretty sure he broke his hand during fall camp. Really hard to tackle when you have a club on your hand.
Yeah.
But they've used him as a power rusher, and he's been really good. But with Langston Hardy, Langston's he came over from UConn. His brother's on the team as well, a son of former NFL player Kevin Hardy. Yes, you're that old. It is Langston has returned to a true, just strong side defensive end. He's solid in the pass game. He's setting the edge in the run game. Like, he is, while sometimes it's not going to be as flashy as you want it to be, it's been amazing. But I think the dirty work guy, Mateen Ibiragba, a transfer a couple years ago from Georgetown, I think he redshirted last year, but just didn't really play, was getting used to adjusting to his body. They brought him in kind of as an end that could play tackle. And then now we find out, no, you're a defensive tackle, big dog. And he's been one of the best, not in the ACC, but nationally at getting pressures. He's just been, he's popped up on NFL draft boards of, hey, I think it was the Senior Bowl that I think it was Mike Renner that posted something today that was, he possibly could be a top 100 pick in the NFL draft. Mateen has been the hands are great. They're violent hands. He's cutting through double teams. He's been a great guy in the run game. He has been kind of their stalwart, and they love all their DTs. I think Jaden Loving's been good. Zach Lovich's been good. Dallas Asalava's been good. But Mateen is kind of went from being a guy during spring and fall camp, I was like, okay, you know what? Let's see if he can be a rotational guy, to being like, oh no, I need you on the field as many snaps as you can possibly handle right now.
Very nice.
Don't have a hands full with that defensive line, guys.
Always.
It's Wake Forest,
always.
man.
It's
Trenches
Wake
are
Forest.
always going to be a struggle, man. They do such a good job up front always. I mean,
Technically sound. Y'all
Yeah.
are always,
That's
Cameron,
right.
y'all are always, I mean, I can remember the game a few years ago. We did win the game, fortunately, but y'all are one of the more technically sound on both sides of the line. You never, like you said, there are certain guys you mentioned on offense where, well, you really don't notice them because they're not getting killed. They're not doing anything unbelievable, but they're not getting killed. And sometimes that's what you need. You need something to steady the ship. So let me ask this for you as we kind of get ready to wrap it up here. Dude, you have been a wealth of knowledge. You are educating the public. So first of all, before I ask this question, when are you going to drop your preview episode for the Hokies?
I think I'll drop mine on Thursday. I think that's when I'm going to
Thursday.
put my
All right,
calendar.
that's Inside the Forest. So again, I think I'm loving to hear I can't wait to hear what you got to say about us. But let's just go to this for this game. Give a prediction if you want. If you're not there yet, that's fine. But what is going to be like a couple keys to you to say if Wake Forest on Saturday afternoon about 4:00 wins this game, it's because?
Besides injuries, I think the number one thing, emotions. It's really hard to quantify it, but that was such an emotional game, regardless of how it ended with the offsides and stuff of that nature. That's a really hard game to play, win or lose. Like Wake Forest poured out everything they had in that game, and even if they won, I'd still be circling this game as this is the ultimate letdown spot. You've got a team that hasn't necessarily quit on their interim. It's homecoming. Blacksburg's always in just a frustrating place for anyone to play. How do you get up again? How do you get up again? And I think that, emotionally, is Wake, are they going to come out sluggish? Are they going to come out with penalties, left and right? Are they going to bust some coverages for the first time? What does that look like, from a kind of a big picture standpoint? But in general, I think, from on the field, I talked about it a little bit earlier, the red zone. I think this is a movable force versus a stoppable object. That is what this is in the red zone. And I think, if Wake can get down to the red zone and convert for touchdowns, they're going to feel a lot better about where they are, because I think they're going to treat Kyron Drones decently the same way that they did Haynes King, which was, we're going to put everyone in the box. You want to beat us with your arm? Good job. You got it. Have fun. I don't know if, either team wants this to be a shootout. I think both teams want this to be kind of a get out the mud. Someone's going to have to win a bar fight here. And I think, if Wake whoever wins kind of those scoring opportunities in a game, that's going to be, probably somewhere around a 27-21 or I don't know if it gets 30, but a 28-24 kind of game. Whoever gets to 28 and not 24, I think that's where that's going to be, the most critical part of who's kicking field goals versus who's actually getting to the end zone.
All right, so you got that winning line somewhere in the mid to upper 20s then.
Yeah, I just, with this Wake team, I think, in general, people before the season kept asking, this team's going to fly because they're used to like the 2019 and 2022 Wake that was just throwing the ball all over the place. And I was like, I don't know if they have the depth to necessarily play that. And I think also it helps you a lot, especially if your team that likes to run the ball, you look up 6 minutes are off the clock and it's like, well, man, we get a 3 and out here. We can just basically milk this entire first quarter. This quarter's done. And so I think that's a fun way if you're a team that's trying to find your identity and trying to find being this tough team of, cool, if you don't get to touch the ball, that's your fault, not mine.
Yeah. And I mean, it's going to be interesting, contrast and styles. I mean, we've definitely been a team that has dominated in most of the games, time of possession, but we don't really have a ton of points to show for it in a lot of cases. So it's going to be interesting to see what that looks like against a Wake team that's also trying to, ball control to a good degree for most of the game.
No, I'm excited. I think it'll be, and I think the thing is, I think when people say, these low scoring kind of time of possession games, those are boring. No, I think those are some of the most fun games, because I think that's when you start seeing those 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3 sort of, everyone wants the wacky kind of trick play. And that's where you'll see them. I know I can't get 2 or 3 yards on the ground. I got to figure out another way to do something like that.
I got
I
to
think
scheme
that's
this
where you
thing up,
start.
man.
That's where you start seeing these wacky plays of Georgia Tech tried to do. They ran a fake punt on 4th and 8. Like that's where you start seeing the team start actually getting in their bags in these kind of slower paced games of trying to find that extra 2-3 yards.
Or find
that's kind of what we did. Yeah, that's what we kind of went into with the North Carolina State win. Like you said, the low 20s, who can get to 24 and win it. So now very good analysis, Cameron. We definitely appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us. Lemons being in your name, life gave you lemons, you made lemonade, all that good stuff, man. We appreciate you coming in. Do you got any shout outs that you want to throw out before we get you out of here?
I mean, the only thing I'll ever promote is my Twitter, though you'll have some terrible takes on the Eagles, Wake Forest, and Braves. It's at Cam Lemons and _. Afterwards. But I really appreciate this. This is always, I love talking football. Love talking ball. I'm always happy to talk about.
We will remember this and appreciate you educating us, because that's what this is for. This is your team you're talking about, and we can do the research. We can look at the tape, and we know some things, but this is your team, so it's great to hear from you, man. Appreciate it. Go ahead, Tally. Before you let him go.
No, I was just gonna say, everybody go follow Cameron, man. Cameron, if you see any of us on Twitter, X, whatever they want to call it nowadays, please, man. Hey, we got bad takes and crazy takes too. Definitely, like you said, Braves, I feel your pain. So we will be in misery together.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We appreciate you, man. Well, thank you, man. We're gonna let you get out of here, Cameron.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you, Cameron. You have a
Take
good
care,
day.
man. All right, that was Cam Lemons Debro bringing the heat, bringing all the info about the Wake Forest Demon Deacons leading into the game this Saturday at 1:00. So we got to know the enemy. Again, it's like red and white. I want to go see what he's got to say for us when we get in there. So now let's tell the truth, because we all lied our asses off last Wednesday night.
What were we supposed to do, man? What were we supposed to do?
I don't know. Tally, what were we supposed to do?
I did it by design. I knew what was going to happen. I just wanted to throw them off.
All right, well, let's tell the truth and let's talk about what went well. And y'all, for the first time in damn near 3 years, Virginia Tech wins a 1-score game.
Woo! Give a clap. Hey, clap it up, man. Come on. Give me some clap it up. We need to get that a clap, man. I don't think people understand. Well, I do know. Chat, they understand. You guys understand how big that win was.
Yep.
Just giving us 2 wins for the year. Some people said we would only get 1. We got a lot going on, man. We just fired a coach. We just beat Wofford, who is Wofford. And then you go into North Carolina State. You go into Raleigh. You go into their house. Nobody has confidence in you. I know I did. I'm going to speak for myself. Didn't have any confidence in going and getting a win. You got people that are kind of in the portal, kind of not. Some are already in the portal. We don't know what the coaches are thinking, but I have never seen, and I'm going to knock on something. Since Pry has been here, I don't think with my eyes I've seen that much energy on the sidelines. I ain't going to even talk about the gameplay. Going and watching the game, I watched it about 3 times. The sideline was electric. I seen Pearson hop off the sideline and start twerking. I mean, what's going on? We got all kinds of stuff going on the sideline. I seen Money jumping. It feels good that you've seen somebody give a damn about the game. Curtis, what you think, man?
Well, that it was just, I don't know. I mean, we were texting all during the night. I was sitting here with my son watching the game, and it was just, I don't know, because in those situations over the last 3 years, and even even before that the win against Liberty, it was always like, we're going to screw this up. Literally, that is going through my head. We're going to screw this up. Or we're going to probably.
I'm gonna throw this in. I'm gonna throw this in, Curtis, right quick, and I'm gonna come back to you. My daughter's birthday was Saturday, so I was out.
Okay.
So everybody's watching the Alabama-Georgia game. We're at some little bar here, and I'm looking at it on my phone. And we punt that ball away, and I turn my phone off, and I text Curtis, and I say, I know how this ends. And I
You
put my
did,
phone in my pocket.
and I just shook my head when I saw that text. Brian, you saw it too. You
I
were
said,
like,
I know how this ends.
Yep.
And a couple of
You
things
did.
are going on, but I think somebody came on and said, we did it. And I was like, did what? We lost it. I knew we gave it away in my mind. But now I'm going to throw it back to you, Curtis. I text that, hey, I know how this ends. So that means we punt the ball away at the end of the game. And then what we do, Curtis, what happens?
Well, we make the stops. We put them in a 4th down situation. And a lot of people say, why didn't you run Hollywood Smothers there? Or why didn't you bring the Wilson kid in? Because we had stopped them a couple times on 3rd and shorts. We stopped them on a 4th and short. Caleb's basically the D-line wiped out. Brian, you probably remember this play better, and you probably can tell you. We wipe it out. Caleb Spencer comes in back door, meets Smothers in the hole, stops him. We get the ball back. We had them mentally beat on that. They were sitting there 4th and 1 where it's like, you should run the ball. And they're like, no, they stopped us like 3 or 4 times. We can't do that. And when Christian Ellis played that thing perfect, I mean, shout out to Christian Ellis, first of all.
Shout out to everyone wearing number 8 on Virginia Tech.
Yeah,
on
absolutely.
Saturday.
Absolutely. But when he made that play, it was just like, yes. Like, yes, I had not felt that good in a long time, especially being a 1-score game. Blowouts are fun, but winning a 1-score game, it ain't nothing like it.
All right.
Yeah.
I will say something real quick. This is going to be a little bit of patting myself on the back. And I said it this morning on Big Dog Sports Talk. Rewind back to the spring game. I was there. I watched it. I came back. I talked about it. When I was talking about safety play, who did I say that I liked the most? That I was like, this guy was out there. He was making some plays.
You did say
Number
it.
8. It was Christian Ellis.
It was Christian Ellis.
You did say
Christian
it.
Ellis.
So let me dive a little bit.
And he's played more the last 2 weeks. I'm excited to see that. And I don't know if it was we paid these other guys more, so they got in, and now that somebody's gone, the rules are different.
I like where you're going right there, Brian. Hold on to your thought, because I wanna unpack a little bit, because I know we gotta go, but we gotta talk about it, because the chat is here, and I know they want to hear what my man Curtis has to say, and you too, Brian, because you brought it up. I don't want to keep dumping on Pry. I really don't, because I think Pry's a good guy. He's a bad coach. He's a good guy.
There you go.
Over the last 2 weeks, just like Brian just said, my guy, that's my brother. Over the last 2 weeks, we've seen number 8 on the field more. And again, I know when you see somebody playing against somebody like Wofford, you're like, whatever, you know. But then we go to North Carolina State and you see number 8 flying all over the field. And then we got to throw in the freshman on the field. I mean, wreaking havoc. 14 and 16, Robinson and Chambers. Noah Chambers. And then, last but not least, another name I'm going to throw out is Caleb Spencer. Caleb Spencer is, if he's not leading the team in tackles, I think he may be second. And I feel like he's only played in 2 games. So now I'm going to throw this out just so I can get y'all to unpack a little bit.
Give it to Brian first. Give it to Brian.
I'm going to give it to Brian because, Brian, you started it. And you said it. Prize gone. Is it because we didn't trust these guys? Is it because sometimes defensive coaches are so stubborn and they think, this is what I want my defense to look like, put this person in. Is it that? Is it we paid this guy? Is it I don't want to piss these parents off? What do you think was the problem of us not seeing more talented people on the field?
I think the frustrating part, and some of this, so we've seen the number of guys that are out last week. We already got a couple other guys in the portal. So number one, there's going to be more snaps for guys down the roster. But I think what's frustrating is that you're seeing these guys get these opportunities and they're making plays and they're playing better than some of the guys that have been getting more snaps to this point. So it begs the question, is there a reason these obviously talented players weren't getting more snaps in the game before this. And whether was it a money deal? Was it just the opportunity now with the injuries? But I'm seeing guys that they're getting an opportunity and they are going out and making the most of it. And Christian Ellis is at the top of that list. But you said Noah Chambers. I mean, obviously he's a younger guy, but he was getting in there and making some plays. I'm just excited to see these young guys go in there and ball out, because it's been something that I think we've been talking about from an accountability standpoint. I know that's been something that we've talked about. We've seen Dwight Vick talk about it a lot. We've seen some of the other guys talk about, is that if guys aren't getting the job done, there's other people on your roster. Put them in and see what they can do.
Yep, I think it's that, Brian, what you said right there. And then somewhat of a blind loyalty in the money. The money should never matter. If you're paying a guy $600,000, but he's playing like dog shit, take him out. Put somebody else in. And I think that was one thing we can all say. We probably think he had his loyalty to a fault for him, because we've seen it. Remember how long it took Caleb Woodson to get, and we saw linebacker play improve last year. We know Caleb's going through stuff. We don't know where it quite is yet, but then we see the same thing. It's like, okay, give Caleb Spencer a chance. Played good. Take Jaden Keller off the field. Let's see how Noah does good. Some of the somebody else, we'll mention this in a second, struggling at safety. Put the Robinson kid in, and they play better. So
Yeah.
And I think, and again, but you said, did he want to be friends with the parents, and did he want to be? Did he want this, or did he want people mad at it? Maybe that was it. And again, to be a head coach, you are going to piss off a lot of people, and you just cannot care who you piss off. And maybe that's what it was.
This is my take on Coach Pry. I keep saying every week, all right, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna quit talking about it, but I can't.
We have to. No, we have to, though. We have to.
Yeah, because it's still being unpacked.
Exactly.
From just people that I trust, things that I've seen. I feel like Pry got paid and was living like a rock star. He felt as if he was a celebrity. He liked to go out and mix and mingle and, go to the bar or go out and eat, and everybody's like, oh, that's Coach Pry over there. I think that he kind of fell in love with that aspect of being the coach at Virginia Tech, because you can go coach at UNLV and they probably won't see you. You're in Las Vegas. You know what I'm saying? Like, It's too many people there. But in Blacksburg, if you see the coach out, they're probably going to say, hey, I need to take some pictures, coach. Coach, we're going to win Saturday. So I think he kind of fell in love with the celebrity part of it and handling that part more than winning fucking games, which is what you're getting paid millions of dollars for. And Brian, somebody put something up. I think it was Justin on there. He said he wanted us to speak about Scott. He wanted us to speak about Scott. They kept calling him Scott. The defensive coordinator, his name is Sam, but they kept saying Scott Cephas. on the broadcast, they kept saying Scott Cephas. But anyway, I can't remember, I don't see where the chat is there. Yeah,
it's talking about Cephas at halftime. He was, he was into it.
So I was gonna say, because you brought the video up, I had never heard him talk. I heard him in a couple of podcasts, but I've never heard him like on the field talking or seeing anything. So what did you think about that video, just seeing how he was interacting at halftime? Hat backwards, standing up on a table or a bench, and just emotion. What did you think, Curtis?
And I know we talked about it already, but that man needs to keep the hat on. So I'm glad to see him when he was going through his rant, he had the hat on because he
no. He was like,
it was backwards. It was backwards. It was on.
He was on. On and backwards.
You know what? I think just in general, when we looked at Pride, there was a lot of even keel demeanor on the sideline in the locker room. And I think we'll say it probably to a fault in most cases, to a fault. I was excited to see energy, and like they were having a good time playing football. They were having a good time coaching football, and they were showing their emotions outwardly. It wasn't just, scribbles on a notepad. I know there's already some comments in the chat on that. I mean, I'm a type of person, I'm a very analytical person, but
Yeah.
I'm a different person when I'm on the sidelines, when I need to get guys going, when I need to show emotion, when I need to be in the moment.
Yep.
So you got to have that switch. You got to be able to switch that on when the time is appropriate. And I don't know if Pry had that gear at the right moments in his head coaching role, because it's weird because you've seen a different, Pry as a coordinator was different than Pry as a head coach. And I don't know if that's Blacksburg, if that's the position, if that's just he changed his mindset about how he was approaching things, or whatever it may be. But he was a different guy how he approached the game, and it filtered down to the players, it filtered down to his staff, and getting a different energy in the locker room has made a difference.
Absolutely. I'm going to say something else too, and I love what Derek said here. Derek, this is the first time I've seen you in here, so welcome to the chat. Sam Seifkis called a hell of a game versus the run. Hollywood Smothers was fifth in the country running the ball. He got 67 yards. 67 yards Saturday night. His longest was 11. His game plan to how to stop him basically took away what they wanted to do. Bailey made some good throws here and there, but something that's been mentioned over and over, and you noticed it Saturday night, and I think it's the reason we punted the ball late, and it's what went well. We kept making them drive the field long distances.
Yep.
They knew, and you heard Monty say it today in his presser, we knew they had not exploded for any this year. You're going to beat us. You're going to put the ball 40 yards down the field because we're going to pin you deep, and we did. If y'all remember where they were, I think they were at like the 15-yard line. Let me make sure. I got a little note here on it. Yep, they were starting at the 18-yard line. He knew you were going to have to go 53 yards in less, by the way, brilliantly managed game too. You're going to have to do that in less than a minute. It's taking you 5 and 6 minutes every time to get into scoring range. So Sam Seifkis knew the game plan, and that was the best thing. And you saw his emotion, especially in the locker room at halftime. So it's great to see. All right, Tally, I'm gonna pitch this to you. Right, and pitch this, you pitching to us, and I love it because I didn't got some pieces together, and Tally's feasting on them. But Tally, Brian already mentioned number 8 on offense. Terrion Stewart. I know you were at the bar, at the restaurant watching those games, but when you saw some of those first early runs where they weren't bringing him down immediately, what started going through your head?
Well, the thing is like we do all of this research, you know what I'm saying? I'll call Curtis all off season and he'll send me stuff, and Shelton will send me these grades, and we talk about broken tackles and what he did at his other school and what pieces we're going to have. And we haven't seen it, He's hurt. Whether we didn't trust him, I don't know. But I know he looked healthy. He looked healthy Saturday. Mm-hmm. And when I seen him on the field, which I seen him a couple other games, and I was like, oh, yeah, he's got more burst than anybody else we're putting in the backfield. Just a couple of plays that I've seen. But again, you got to get healthy, but you got to get your players on the field. Now, I did talk to a couple of people that I trust about the team before the season and, after this game, some parents of players and a couple of players. You never want to put an injury as the reason we lose games or anything like that. But I will say this. Johnny Garrett goes down. When, Brian? Do you remember? Johnny Garrett goes down against Vandy.
Vandy, yeah.
Right before half, right? We were up 20-10. Whole game changes. I'm pretty sure we were playing 4 redshirt freshmen. Mm-hmm. And Vandy just feasted, Cunningham gets hurt. Totally different team. 8's not playing. Then ODU was everybody gave up. We've lost both of these close games. We should have won, or games were kind of close and we should have won. And, you hear all this chatter. It happens. It is what it is. Now you've got a body and team, and you're coming back from some injuries. And number 8 says, Give me the ball. So when I seen it, I'm at the bar and I look at number 8. I said, shoot, they need to make him 33. He looked like 33 that we used to have back there in the backfield.
Yep.
You know, just drop about 5 inches. Same guy. You know, about 5 inches. That's all you got to drop. Same guy. We bouncing off people. We running over people. We getting up. We doing a little dancey dance. Like, that's Virginia Tech football. He was having a good time. 107. Was it 174? 176. Was it 174?
I mean,
on 15 carries.
Yeah.
174 on 15. 11.
And listen, man, when you got somebody that is doing that, it amps up everybody. I've seen Kyron Jerome's do some stuff I ain't never seen him do. I talked to his dad. He said, shout out to Kevin Jones. Kevin said, I seen my son on the sideline standing up, waving a towel, hopping up and down. He don't do that. He's not that kind of kid. He's a man. But he usually don't, he's not like that. But when you see somebody giving it all they got, going hard, like number 8 was, how can you not get hyped? If you not hyped on that offense with somebody doing what he's doing, he's making something out of nothing on plays. You know, he's turning a 3-yard run into an 8-yard run. He's turning a 8-yard run into a 16-yard run, falling down, getting up, you know what I'm saying, doing the first down sign. Bro, that's football. We've been missing that. We just been handing the ball off, get what you can get back in the huddle. Come on, man. We was on some bullshit. Now we've got some people that feel like we got something to prove. So I feel like, how far does that go? Are we just playing on emotions for one game? Or do we take this into the next game? Do we take this back home? Do we show our fans at our house that I know y'all gave up on us for good reason, but we still got a product to put on the plate for you? So, Brian, what you think about 8? I know you mentioned it. What you think about 8?
Man, so we were out there. I was over at a friend's house. Son had a birthday. We went over there. We were playing some games. Had the game on TV, and he breaks off that run where he broke like 3 tackles and dragged guys about another 8 or 9 yards. And buddy's wife said, "He's small," and I said, "No, he's short."
Yeah,
he's
He's 5'8", 220. He is not small.
You can't get lower than him.
No, you can't get lower than him. And it is crazy, man, because like watching him run, it reminds me of Tootin to a little bit, but it's also a little bit angrier in terms of the style. Probably not quite as that breakaway speed that Tootin has, but at the same time, I love a guy that's like that low center of gravity, runs angry, can still shake you a little bit. I'm glad we're seeing more of him because that was something we sorely missed in this offense the first few weeks of the season.
You're 100% right. One last thing before we get into a couple. Again, it wasn't all pretty. We realist here, y'all. John Love,
The
that
man,
boy, good. Ain't no question about
the
John
man.
Love. He is good.
Just
He's
cool as a cucumber.
Cool.
I bet it ain't no kicker. I bet it's no kicker on any college campus that's getting more ass than John Love. And it can't be. It cannot be. Name a better kicker or more sought after kicker than John Love right now. He probably leading the team in points, man.
Well, he definitely.
We get in a bad spot. We get in a bad spot. John Love is gonna do his job. He gonna do his job. Yeah. If he miss it, it ain't his fault. He can miss a 30-yard kick. I'll say that ain't his fucking fault.
John Love is untouchable until Tally says otherwise.
Because he's been doing it. He's been doing it, man. You know what I'm saying? Protect that man at all costs. Don't let him get hit. No celebrations. Don't jump up and down. No Martin Grammatical stuff. Stay on the ground. We need you. Please. Johnny boy.
There you go. John Love. All right, let's talk about what went bad real quick. And first of all, the fumble that if we could have got our damn hands on, would have sealed the game much earlier and not made us worry as bad. Have y'all ever seen a ball get that close to so many people on your team and just keeps moving away?
Man, I thought I was watching was it Football Follies back in the day?
Just kicking the ball around.
You know what I thought it was? You remember the Buffalo Wild Wings commercial? Was it Buffalo Wild Wings?
Yeah.
Where somebody's got the little
Button.
thing moving the button. Yeah, got the button. Oh no, we need overtime. We need more play. Yeah, that's what it looked like to me. It's just couldn't get our hands on it, man. I was like, jump on this fumble.
Because that would have ended the game right there if we could have got our hands on it.
Right.
Hey, Brian, you threw this in here. Obviously, I think you probably feel run blocking was off the chain Saturday because at no point was the other thing I noticed, and I'm sure you noticed probably more than me, he was getting hit, but he was getting hit a yard or two into the run. There wasn't too many that he got hit 3 or 4 yards in the backfield, but that was good. But you said just a few things concerned you about the pass pro.
Yeah, I mean, we're starting to see a little bit of problems with that. I think it's just we've had a little bit of a shuffle across the board, right? We've seen a bunch of different bodies. We've had a couple different guys in there at left tackle. We've kind of had to slide guys around, and I think some of that is just starting to show across the board. It's going to be interesting to see if, as this offensive line gets healthy, if some of those things kind of go away a little bit, or if they continue to crop up there. But we're playing some of the younger guys. We're playing some guys I don't think, depth-wise, we wanted to get out there for as many snaps as we have, and I think some of that's starting to show a little bit. Thankfully, if you've got a good running game, if you can lean on that a little bit more, that's going to take some pressure off the pass rush. So as long as we can keep rolling with the offensive line on the rush game, I think that'll help on that front. But it definitely was not the best showing for the offensive line in the pass pro game this week.
Yeah, and a couple times Kyron had to scramble. That throw to Benji, that should have went on that was unbelievable.
The throw to Benji was great. The throw to Hawkins on the touchdown was great.
Oh, he stood in there for that. That won't pass pro. That wasn't
pass pro, but I'm saying
just bringing more people.
Brought up Kyron and hanging in there. That was one he hung in there for.
All right, boys. I'm
gonna tell you this before we go to the next thing, Curtis.
Go ahead.
I think it was Cunningham. Somebody was holding like a motherfucker on the end of the line when Kyron breaks out and throws the pass to AG sliding on the sideline. Go back and watch that play. Whoever was on the end, I think it was Cunningham, holding like a mug. If I was North Carolina State, I would have been pissed. But guess what? I'll take a holding. Shit, don't let him hit my quarterback. Shoot a cag on him. You know what I'm saying? Push him down. Grab his helmet. Do something. Hell, I'll take it.
All right. Real quick, this is another of the bad because we had some guys who have played a lot of football absolutely struggle with tackling. Their names kept popping up in our chat all night. Brian, one was
Jaden Keller.
Tally, the other was
Flowers.
And everybody's like, y'all just hard on them. Nah, y'all see the PFF grades? They were both under like 45 tackling grades, which means when you are that, I always Sheldon wants to because he explained it better, but it's always been you start getting to that in other region, you missed a lot of tackles. Not taken away because Flowers almost did a pick, but it's like that. This game maybe could have been even an easier victory. Maybe we didn't need that, but they struggled. They just struggled tackling. Like there's a couple of times like Keller made some good heads up tackle, but there was one play, and I can't remember what it was. I don't know if y'all remember. So he comes in and he's got the guy leveraged, and then the guy kind of makes a move, and he just kind of stands up. Like he just kind of stands up and looks around like, what are you doing? There's something. He's right there. So they worry me when it becomes to open space tackle.
Early in the game, the one that I knew I was like, this is gonna be a long night for Keller. Was Smothers ran inside, and I mean it was clear as day, and inside zone, holes opens up. Keller is slow to fill. He's about 2 yards from the line of scrimmage. Doesn't beat him in the gap there, and gets kind of shook out of his pants a little bit. I think it ended up being the longest run of the night for Smothers. or close to it. I think it was like an 8 or 10 yarder, and should have been 1 or no yard gain if you just get in your gap and make a play. He hesitated, then he got shook. I mean, it was just bad all around, and the night got worse for him as it went on.
Yeah.
All right.
Rule of thumb: if you're watching a game and you see a DB look like a baby and you took his toy away and he's doing this, he probably got beat. There's no reason you should have Thriller arms if you're playing safety, trying to follow. You should not have arms like Thriller if you are playing safety, chasing that receiver. Flowers, I like you, my boy. I mean, I like what I see from you as a football veteran, but as a football player, come on, man. I vouch for you. I want you to do better, but you got to start showing us something. You got to start hitting some people because they putting some freshmen in, and they hitting. I need you to hit somebody. Make something happen.
Real quick, I want us just to go kind of one by one. What's in your head? Anything you were not prepared for on Saturday?
I would say we got to win despite not really turning the ball over. We didn't have any really takeaways in this game, but we still.
You'd have had to tell me we had 3 turnovers the way I felt last Wednesday night to win this game. Oh, we won the game. Man, they must have just kept giving us the ball over and over.
Right.
Was this Tommy Castellanos just slinging it at us?
Here you go. Tell me anything you weren't prepared for. Brian saying win despite lack of turnovers. Tally?
I was not prepared for us to have a running back to run for 174 yards. No matter who was back there, I wasn't prepared for Terrion Stewart for sure, but I wasn't prepared for us to have a running back in a running game. They had a running back run for 174 yards. That was crazy.
I thought we'd have some ability to move the football against them. I didn't think it was going to be that run heavy, and I didn't think, like you said, one back going out there and just dominating.
100%.
Curtis, what you got?
For me, because of just how the season had went so far, up to that game last weekend, we were giving up somewhere in the neighborhood of about 150, 160 rushing yards. People were running all over us.
Yeah.
We gave up less than 60 yards on the ground. That I was not prepared for that. Because what I say last week, I said Smothers is going to get his. They just can't be big ones. He didn't have any big ones, and he didn't get his. And that just completely, I was not prepared for that. All right. I'm gonna go to the what we got to do better moving forward. If the Kyron drones and the way he passed in the second half shows up all game, especially Aiden Green, you got to catch that. That might have been the best deep ball Kyron's thrown in his career here because he put that one right on the money. But in the second half, Kyron was something like, I want to say, I think I did it. It's like he was like 8 of 11. He only missed the one that he only missed a couple passes in the second half. And along with the Stewart, if that Kyron shows up and he's somewhere in the 65, 70%, and we're passing it 20, 25 times a game and running the ball with Stewart and with Kyron and with Marcellus Hawkins, we might do something stupid.
If he can keep that level of efficiency for a whole game, and he's somewhere in that 200 to 250 range yardage, he's added another 30 or 40 on the ground, and then you get another ground attack from the combination of Stewart and Hawkins, like we saw this past week. That's something that's pretty formidable. And that's something where, as Cam was talking about earlier, with us with Wake, I mean, they're going to make a lot of these teams are going to stack the box and make Kyron beat you with his arm. We're going to get to teams that can do that are where we can't just run through them, despite them having the box filled. We're going to have to pivot to that passing game and have to be efficient with that, because we know that Monty likes to sling the ball around a little bit. It's not going to always be deep down the field. It's not going to be things like that, but he's going to throw the ball a good amount of times.
Yeah.
We got to continue to be efficient with those completions. And when we've been at least somewhat efficient on offense in the passing game, it hasn't been pretty. We haven't been great in the red zone, but we've moved the ball up and down the field.
1 3 and out. We
Yeah.
had 1 3 and out Saturday.
Yeah.
That's
So
crazy.
and that's what
crazy.
and we did
crazy.
pretty well, the first game and a half with those things, and then the wheels kind of fell off. Second half of Vandy on, and I feel like we may have recaptured a little bit of that with this NC State game, and I'm hoping that the thing that I was most proud of and that we need to continue doing moving forward is that we didn't let a negative play snowball on us.
Yep.
And I think we saw that, we saw that Vanderbilt. We obviously saw that ODU. Vanderbilt, we let a couple bad things turn into an awful second half. ODU, they came out and they punched us in the mouth early, and we never had a counter punch.
We quit.
Yeah, we never had a counter punch, and we quit. So I saw a team that negative plays happen, and mentally we stayed even keel. We were excited on the sideline. We were gassed. We were doing those things, but mentally up top, we stayed even keel. We didn't let that one play turn into 5.
All right, Tally, anything from Saturday night that you want to close us out with here?
Just I don't know how the rest of the season goes. I ain't gonna look that far. I'm gonna just say next game. I don't know how the next game goes. I know we'll do a prediction a little bit, but just energy and effort, man. You know what I'm saying? I haven't seen that kind of energy from players and coaches in a while. Even in games that we were in, like South Carolina, I didn't feel like we had the same kind of energy. They wanted to give us the game, and we just was kind of playing the game. We didn't want to take the game. In this game, it was like, you heard it. We got to go take the game. This is our game. Let's go take it. And the kids bought in, and that's what they went and done. So I'll be interested to see if we come out with that same energy and that effort where it takes us against Wake Forest.
I like what Justin said there. Put up Derek's too, because it is all on Sam now, and it's already been a positive for the first game against a P5 opponent. So yeah, all right. So that takes care of that. Tell the Truth Tuesday. We try not to tell any lies. We just tell what we see. All right, so let's hit some news and notes, because the day was the big day with the Board of Visitors. And I think we all knew what was going to happen, and it did happen with one person saying no, but the BOV did approve for the new funding as a vote of 13-1. Basically, within the next 4 years, Tech's going to be operating north of $200 million in the athletic budget. What does that mean for football? Well, football is the biggest portion of your athletic budget. People can get paid more, a lot more for NIL. I don't think there was ever any doubt. Nancy Dye saying, I don't think it's fair to the student fees. The first thing you want to say is, well, they're still the lowest in the state. You've got to figure out a way to make money. If you've got better ideas, you should be presenting them. That's always another thing I don't like. Somebody says, well, I think it's because this. Okay, my first thing, I'd be a smart ass. So what are we going to do then? Or do you want us not to have a good athletics program?
Right.
Yeah. Derek put it up here. But, no shock, right?
Yeah, no shock, man. We knew it was going to happen. It had to happen. They tired of getting their asses kicked and their dicks dumped. So they wanted to go ahead and do something about it. Let's do something about it, man. Let's give it our best shot and see if we can create some stuff. Because when you look back at what a football team does, that is good. And I'm just talking football. We can talk about other sports another time. When a football team is good, it is a big win for the city. Everybody in the chat, you've been to Blacksburg when things are jumping. When game day comes in town, it's electric. That isn't just for the football field. Like, you can go to Food Line or whatever the grocery store is, and they're selling out of stuff. And you got to get more people to work that day because you got to restock drinks. Bigger than just football. Football is just a catalyst. And when you start talking money, you got to spend money to make money. You can't run it like a mom and pop if you want to be a corporation. So,
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at it at the end of the day, for all of Witt's faults, when this was first coming about, one of the things he said was probably one of the best things he said as AD, and it's you're either gonna pay for it now or we're gonna pay for it later, and basically meaning you're either gonna up the revenue now or you're gonna pay for it later in lost revenue, whether it be drops in tuition, whether it be you're not in the national spotlight, so you're not getting that free billboard for the university getting put on ESPN, get put on all these networks.
All these networks. Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're going to lose money if you are irrelevant. So
a lot more money.
At the end of the day, spend money and try to be relevant. And that's the one thing I think that this fan base can't stomach is being irrelevant. I think we can weather a 6-win season here or there. We can weather all these things. We can weather this decade of being in the doldrums, but I don't think we can weather being an irrelevant football team. So getting that right is going to help all the other aspects of the university, whether that be from a perception standpoint, whether that be for increasing enrollment. All those things will trickle down to these other areas. And unfortunately, when we look at student fees, that is just a part of the process now. And whether you like or dislike student fees, the fact of the matter is that the cash is on the table for that, and everyone else is taking it. So if you're not taking it, you're falling behind.
100%. My last feel on it, like it's all been done right. Now there is the philanthropy, there's the donations. Basically, Hokie Club was right at 20 million last fiscal year, so it's going to have to go up plus 10 million. But the whole thing is with what they just done and saying we are devoting this much, there are going to be people that maybe this year you gave $200, but next year, you know what? They're really trying. They want to put us back where we were. I'm gonna cut a few things here and there, and I'm gonna give $700 this year. And a lot of people are like, what's $700? That's not that much. But an extra 500 from an extra 2,000-3,000 people, that's when you start bumping. That's when things happen. Or the guy who gives 1,000 says, you know what, I'm giving 5 G's this year.
Yep.
That's when you get to that goal. And it also doesn't hurt that this was announced after a win like Saturday night. Like that, I mean, hell, there's no better advertisement than that. Like, look how excited people were. You saw you've heard like the kids were excited Saturday night on campus and stuff. So it's really good. There will be the athletic investment committee. I know I heard that. Something that they're going to help guide. Again, that's big boy type shit. That's basically saying these people are going to guide you to where to put the money, how to get the money in, not just, hey, AD, decide what to do with it. I love hearing that.
Right.
There was also a hire last week, which came kind of out of nowhere. Apparently had been in the works for a while, but Dr. Javante Ashford is the new associate AD for Major Gifts. That's the big money. That's just 6, 7, 8 figures worth of donations. And, you see, oh, well, who's this guy? Well, he's coming from University of Tennessee where he was in a similar role. And Tally, you're a little closer to that than we are, being an SEC country. They made a lot of substantial upgrades in the last half decade down in Knoxville.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of money, man. Money got to be around. And you black dude in Knoxville, Tennessee, going and talking about giving gifts, he probably pretty good at selling. I'm going to tell you that right now. Because they like some NASCAR and stuff like that, but they love their football. So, hey, I'll take it. I will take it. I don't know much about him. I ain't going to lie. I seen the hire and I seen where he came from and have watched Tennessee over the last couple of years. And I was like, now we starting to, we ain't go get somebody from Spokane, Washington to come over here and talk to people. You know what I'm saying? You want to get somebody who kind of at least knows the area. Tennessee's close to Virginia. Hey, I
Grew up
need
in
you to go
Roanoke.
do your job. It grew up in Roanoke, so definitely
Grew up
knows
in
the
Roanoke.
area. Thank you, Curtis. So, things like that, man. You got to be able to. I kept saying, and this is hard for a coach. The coach can't do all this stuff that needs to be done. You got to have these positions filled by people who want to go out and be successful, because you need that coach to coach. The coach has to be the figurehead of the program, but you need that coach to coach. So the things like this that we're actually going out and getting, and they talking about going and getting a GM and things like that, you got to have that if you want to have a big boy program, man. You got to have them positions filled. So when you get the game day, you ain't fucking losing by 1 point 16 out of 17 times.
Let's talk about another thing.
Win 8 out of 16 times. Give me half of them.
Yeah. And the other thing about the money, and this goes back to kind of the Whit Babcock situation. So you got the one thing with the money is that Curtis talked about, okay, well, you get a win, you get this money, now people are going to be more willing to part with it. The other part about people being a little more willing to start giving money again is that football as a whole is no longer in the hands of Whit Babcock.
Nope.
So there was a lot of apprehension, not only just because of the coaching situation, not just because of the performance on the field, but because Whit Babcock was the ringleader of all the shenanigans that got us here, right? He is not going to be a part of that puzzle anymore. So
I don't think he's going to be part of the whole program in general.
But regardless of whether he stays on in any capacity, he's going to be hands off more or less on the football side of things. So I think that's going to give people a little less apprehension when it comes to giving, and then you start making these other moves to kind of build up the Hokie Club and move away from that kind of mom and pop aspect of, okay, well, we'll hit this goal, we'll hit that goal. Now, at some point, you got to get the people that have the money to move off and write the big checks, and it can't just be Mahul or a couple other guys every few years. It's got to be across the board. So I'm excited to see what they do with that.
100%. All right, real quick, I just want to mention this. I'm sure everybody's paying attention to it. Along with us having the open vacancy, there are now 4 other schools that are out there. Stanford, which that's going to be a special coach that takes that job. Don't even question it. UCLA, Oklahoma State, and Arkansas. And from the sounds of Arkansas and UCLA, they ain't got no money to spend. And everybody's like, well, they're getting paid so much. But I think what's happened over the last decade is some of these schools got overzealous and spent way too much money on dumb shit. And now it is a crucial time to have money to be able to spend, and they don't have money to spend. So as much as we can say we don't like Whit, we can say a lot of bad stuff about him. The one thing he did is he kept us out of debt, which really probably for the next 4 to 5 years, we can take on debt as it comes to this crucial time.
Well, it's good to be in a situation where you can take on debt while you're also raising your overall budget in the process. So you're letting good money go after the bad money in this case to really double up what you're trying to do from a funding standpoint. So that's working in tandem at the same time. I think the big thing is that we got to get this GM hire right. We got to get this coaching hire right. We're at a point where this has to be a slam dunk. And that's really where my concern is going to be is, can we get these aspects, these pieces of the puzzle correct? Because if we don't, then what goodwill that this is generating, 2 to 3 years down the road, we might be back in the same place of saying, well, we got the hire wrong. We screwed this up. We screwed that up. If you're not getting a return on the investment, at some point, people are going to start balking at you.
True. 100%.
Quick question. We ain't going to talk a whole bunch about head coach, but I do want to say this. What's the number of wins that Monty has to have to be considered for the next Virginia Tech head coach?
He's got to go to Charlotte.
ACC? Gotta go to
If he goes to the ACC championship game and they reel off 9 straight wins, you have to give it to him. And as much as that'll piss some people off, say we want a bigger name, like he just won 9 straight games and got you to Charlotte.
What if he wins? What if he gets
8 is the number, but I think Charlotte is definitely the caveat. Tally, I'll let you go ahead. Sorry about that.
No, you good. I was just gonna say, what if he just gets you to a bowl game? What if he wins 6 games?
Nope. We went there. 9 wins shows something. 9 wins is a massive step up because we were talking about this year. Probably won 8 or 9. He probably kept his job for a couple more years.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the back half of that schedule don't look pretty. So, we'll see. We'll see
we got to win at least 3 in October to have any sort of chance at a bowl.
In
my opinion,
it is going to be tough. All right, real quick, let's go to our keys and our predictions for the game this weekend. I'll lead this off because Cameron said it earlier. It's all about our red zone defense versus their red zone offense. I think whoever wins that wins this game. They aren't good. We aren't good. Something's got to break. So that's me. Like, look at the end. If they got down there 5 times and they scored 5 times, we lose. If they got down there 5 times and they've been keeping their average, which is scoring 3, we probably take the win.
I think the big thing is just don't let them in that area altogether. Don't let them get down there, man. You can only score so many points by putting it in the end zone if you only get down there 2 or 3 times. So keep them out of our side. Get the ball back. Hopefully we can control that time of possession with the run game, with the short passing game, and hopefully we do a little bit better of converting some of those red zone opportunities ourselves.
All right, Tyler, what about you? What's the key?
I think the key is just limiting turnovers. Definitely watching your turnovers. A team like Wake is gonna kind of feed on that. Coming in, feed on that energy if you turn the ball over. And you got to get Kyron's stat line probably needs to be about 200, 220 passing yards, and give me about 50 rushing yards. That's what his stat line got to look like. Again, you got to use him for how he needs to be used. You got to have a rushing game behind him too. But on those 50 yards, he has to set that tone. Similar to what he did. It was times when he was taking on 2-3 defenders, getting the tough yards, and then you come with a running back doing the same thing. You got to be able to just set that tone. I think Derek just said it. Set the tone to start the game. We're not a finesse team. I don't think Virginia Tech will ever be a finesse team. No matter if they hire Cliff Kingsbury in here, if they hire Lincoln Riley, I think Virginia Tech always is going to be more of a lunch pail team. You just got to go get some tough yards. So if that's your identity, feed into your identity. Let's go again this week. Like I said, use Kyron how he needs to be used. Limit them turnovers. I think we're good.
All right, Brian Siegler. They broke what that you said until we win a 1-score game.
I said it until we beat a P4 opponent in a 1-score game. I was going to pick against them.
Damn it, they got you.
I am not picking against the Hokies this week, and hopefully I don't jinx them. But give me 27-21 Hokies.
Oh wow, another 1-score win. Tally.
I'm going to pick against the Hokies, even though I have a little bit of confidence. I'm going to give the edge to Wake just because I need to see the consistency. The last time I seen us against a competent team in Lane, I didn't like it. No disrespect to Wofford, but I don't think nobody thought we would lose to Wofford, no matter how bad it was. But I just need to see some consistency. I need to see where we just playing off of the emotions. And now you have some expectations. You are favored to win this game. Every time we get some kind of expectations, we fold it. As of the last couple of weeks, couple of years. I need to see what you do. So I'm gonna pick against the Hokies. I'm gonna say it'll be a close game, but Wake takes it.
Now he stole my thunder. I was going to say almost exactly what you were saying because I need him to prove it to me again. I'm going to take Wake Forest in this game 27-23.
Heartbreaker.
Right. Man, I'm the only one riding with the Hokies, man.
You're the only one riding with them. You know how they needed to prove it to you? They got to prove it to us that they can do it on our turf 2 in a row against a competent team.
That's fair. That's fair, man.
I gotta say it, Curtis. I gotta say it. I know we got to get going, but I gotta say it.
What's that?
You come out to that damn Inner Sandman. Please don't let the fans down. Don't let Inner Sandman be the highlight of the freaking game. So tired of hearing about the entrance and then we go out and lose. Go out and take this game. Go out and give the fans. Prove us wrong, man.
Prove
I know we can do it.
Boys. Prove us wrong.
Don't let the entrance be the highlight of the game. That's all I'm asking.
All right, there we go. Yep, and you're right, Derek. Fans need a win. All right, so last weekend was a hell of a weekend for sports, hell of a weekend for college football. This weekend, it took a little bit of pride and figure out what games we were picking because the slate was good. Also, if you had gotten smart the last 2 weekends and faded everything me and Brian decided to do, you'd have a lot of damn money in your pocket right now because we are 0-8. Oh,
it's rough, dog.
The worst part of that is we were at 500, and then the last 2 weeks have just snowballed into hell for us. We can't pick them for worth a damn. So, if y'all are watching this out there, feel free to go ahead and just make a card, fading everything we got here, and I think you'll be in good shape.
All right, I'll kick us off, Brian. The first fade. And this is the game I picked because I should be back from baseball by the time this one kicks off. We got Michigan State, Nebraska. Nebraska laying 11.5 points. I got to say something. I feel for Nebraska because I watched a good bit of that Michigan game. They should have beat Michigan. I'm sorry. They should have beat Michigan. And I believe I saw Michigan State USC the other weekend and just – Michigan State's kind of just floating. They had, what was his name for all those years? Not John L. Smith. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Old, crusty guy.
Yeah.
Went through the playoffs, went to multiple. I mean, he looked probably a hell of a football coach. That's probably looked old and crusty. But in this case, fade me. I'm going to lay 11.5. Nebraska wins by 17.
All right. Think so?
Yeah, click the button, Brian.
I did.
It's delayed. Shelton, who's not here tonight because he had to do some play-by-play action, he also rides with us. Tally.
I got to go to Nebraska, man. I ain't heard about freaking Michigan State for 10 years.
Thank you. Yeah, D'Antonio. Mark D'Antonio. Brian?
I'm riding with Nebraska as well. I think they're probably, Michigan State, like you said, they're kind of hovering at this point. I don't really know if they're ever going to kind of take that step back into that, mid to upper echelon of the conference. Kind of reminds me a little bit of another team I know, unfortunately. I think they're at a crossroads as well. At least I see some juice and some movement on our end. I think Nebraska's going to take this one.
All right, next game. This is Tally's pick.
Yeah, man. The Cavaliers showed me a very interesting game on Friday last week, so I thought they deserved to be on big screeners again this week. But I'm taking Louisville on this game.
Tally laying the 7.5. Brian?
I'm gonna go ahead and jump in here. I mean, I am picking UVA in the capacity that I don't think it will be more than a 7-point game. I think that Louisville ends up closing this game out, but it is closer than that 7.5. So give me the Cavs.
I'm similar to you. I don't know who's going to win this game, but I think 7.5 was just a little bit too much. Although I think Tally's head is saying they just had literally their biggest win since 2019. Probably program wise, it's probably their second or third biggest win of all time. Can they handle the emotion going on the road to a tough environment?
And their quarterback was trying to give Florida State the game. And Florida State's quarterback was trying to give it back to him. Take it. I don't want it. Take it. I don't want it. Take it.
Nobody wanted that game.
That's what it felt like. Sheldon is riding with you, Tally, which is probably smart given me and Curtis's track record the last couple of weeks.
I think there's a theme here. Y'all pay attention to what Shelton's doing. All right, next one. This is Shelton. Shelton picked Miami, Florida State. Massive game. Should have been even more massive, but Florida State couldn't figure out how to beat UVA. Shelton is on this one, and he is taking the U. Laid at 4.5. Tally, what about you?
Man, I got to go to you, man. That defensive line, offensive line too. Trenches look ridiculous for Miami. I don't know if they win it all. I don't know what they do this year, but from what I've seen in the offensive defensive line, I think they are going to probably beat Florida State by about 14 points.
Woo!
I'm not quite on that 14, but I think a 10-point curve could be in play here. This is probably the best top to bottom and coached Miami that we've seen in maybe 25 years. In terms of just talent in a lot of different places, talent where it needs to be, coaching that is fairly consistent. They don't hurt themselves as much. So we'll see if we'll get the classic Miami blunder at some point down the stretch in this season. Hopefully it is at our expense there. So, but in the interim, I think Miami takes care of business against Florida State.
I'm going opposite of all three of y'all. I think Florida State was looking forward to this game last Friday night, because if you looked at everything that they had the ball in the red zone three more times than UVA. They came away with 0 points out of it. That was the game. I think they lock in and focus. I think I'll take a home favorite or a home with points. I don't know who's going to win this game. I think it's going to be entertaining as hell, though. Give me Florida State. Give me 4.5 points.
There we go, man.
All right, last one is you, Brian. Oh, jeez.
Hey, man. Bama hosting the Commodores, man. I feel like with our matchup against Vanderbilt the last 2 years, we've put Vandy on here probably more than than maybe we should have. But I think with what they've done there with bringing in Jerry Kill and Diego Pavia, that's a team that is dangerous every week, and they play in the SEC.
Yep.
So with that being said, Bama is minus 10.5 at home. I'm taking Vanderbilt here. I think this is going to come down to the wire. I don't think it's going to be like a three-point game or anything, but I think it's going to be about a 1 touchdown game. I think Bama closes it out late, but Vandy will cover there.
Yeah, this is another one. I don't know who's going to win, but 10.5 is way too much to lay. Alabama, especially coming off that win down in Athens last week. The question is, can Kalen DeBoer straighten them out to get off of that and know Vandy's for real? They're going to throw funky stuff at you both ways. 10.5 is just not enough. Also, fuck Diego Pavia. That little bastard's trying to get like a 9th year of eligibility. Be like, motherfucker, you are like 26 years old. Get a job.
Go pro in something other than football.
Van Wilder, baby.
Van Wilder. Shelton says,
Tally, Shelton's riding with Vandy.
By the way, Tally was the only one who took Alabama last week. He got that win because you amongst them down there. What are you saying this week?
Man, I just felt it, man. I think that Alabama wins this game, but I think it's going to be closer than 10.5, maybe 10. The hook threw me off.
The hook.
Yeah, it threw me off a little bit, but I'll say Vandy's about to have a gauntlet of a schedule, man. They are about to get into some, LSU, Missouri, Texas, Auburn, Kentucky, Tennessee. So from here on out, their schedule is going to look a lot different than it has looked. I think that that's going to keep them in the game because you got Alabama coming off of playing Georgia coming into the game. Maybe underestimate them a little bit, but at the same time, I do think Alabama will lock in and win this game. But I think it's going to be closer than what the spread is. So I took Vandy.
All right, there we go. All right, so we got that up there. All of our picks. Is there anything happening in the last? Well, the one thing I noticed today, y'all follow John Rothstein.
Yeah, I'm looking. Yeah, he was at basketball practice today. Yeah.
Did you see the video?
I did not.
Go look at the video. The man says he thinks we can get back in the tournament this year.
All right.
Not my words.
I saw the I saw the highlight. Talking about Neo. Talking about him being a better shooter than Igor Demon with BYU. He's very high on Neo at this point, so we'll see if all those pieces can come into place with the talent that was left on the roster, with some of the moves we made this offseason. I'm really excited about this basketball team, probably as excited as I've been in a few years. So excited to see what they can put out on the floor there. It's going to be a really good year, I think, in Blacksburg for the Hokies basketball team.
Absolutely.
I think we might need to find us a game and go to this year, man. We haven't been to a basketball game together. Might need to find one, dog.
Yeah.
I think that'd be pretty cool.
Well, you know what? Phil would come with you in a heartbeat.
All right.
I gotta get up with Phil, man. See if he'll let me stay at Moments on the Mari, then head to a basketball game. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Phil loves basketball, man. About 98% sure he's going down to the Bahamas for that tournament this year.
Yeah, I'm about to reach out to him.
And if he does, he said, if I go, I'm going to do a live remote from the Bahamas.
Okay.
So we'll see. All right. Nothing else breaking down. Fun night. You guys were awesome in the chat. I don't know how many messages we have in there. We did not get to them all. Apologies. We got to talk too. But anyway, as always, this wraps up this episode of the Boundary Corner podcast, brought to you by Counts Family Pharmacy in Blacksburg and Moments on the Maury in Lexington. I'm Curtis Wilson.
I'm Brian Siegler.
Jonathan Talley.
Visit our website, boundarycornerbt.com, to listen to all of our episodes. Also, while you're there, follow us everywhere you can: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all of your favorite podcast sources. As always, we let our buddy Jason Long play us in, play us out. Man claiming he ain't gambling until the NBA season starts. I don't believe him one bit for that, because the Titans have damn near broken in Tally. Almost broken the man. Go to jasonlongmusic.com, where you can link to all of his music: Apple, Spotify, YouTube. What did you just drop? Everybody, look in the background of Tally. He is getting his little man cave set up. I love it. Got the big jersey on one side, the big VT flag. Go to the other side. Move a little bit out of the way, because you got to show that.
Boone in the background, baby.
You got the Greg Boone jersey in the background. He's getting his man. I love it. I love it. I'm glad that has come to fruition in the new house there, Tally, so much. Also,
we're close,
Jason,
baby.
It's close. Well, no, it ain't ever close. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that. I've been here 9 years. It is
never finished.
It's never finished. Also, Jason's page, check him out, see where he's going to be in the Roanoke area in the coming weeks. We appreciate y'all listening, chatting, and as always, let's go.
Hokies.
Hokies.